Hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work, hard work, hard work.
Fall in.
Hey, what's good? What's good? What's good? What's going on, everyone? Glad to be back this morning. Of course, you know what it is. It's me, your boy Trey the Commish, and you're rocking with your favorite vets on the net. First Formation Morning Sports Talk. That's 2 days in a row. Been moving around, but glad to be here. Glad to be back in the saddle. Slowly but surely getting back into it, of course, as I stated. So little by little, you get back to where we were before. A couple of things has been going on, of course, in the Major League Baseball, basketball, NFL, as it get ready to get back into it. A couple of things. But first and foremost, let's talk about or even engage in reference to Major League Baseball. Of course, you know, mid-season as they just had their All-Star game. And now back into completing the rest of the season. Last night, the Minnesota Twins took on the Seattle Mariners, with the Mariners being victorious 7-6. Boston Red Sox and Oakland Athletics with the Red Sox with the stomping 7-0 for the Red Sox. The Detroit Tigers face off against the Kansas City Royals with a 3-2 victory over the Kansas City. Washington Nationals get a two-run win over the Chicago Cubs by the score of 7-5. Tampa Bay Rays get defeated by the Texas Rangers, scored 3-2. St. Louis Cardinals 6-4 over the Miami Marlins. The Cincinnati Reds and the Giants 2-2, but had a suspended game. What's good? What's going on, sis? What's going on, Kneef? Hope you're enjoying yourself. Cleveland Guardians and the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Guardians with the thrashing 11-point shutout of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And then, of course, last but not least, the Los Angeles Angels face off against the New York Yankees, in which Shohei Ohtani. I wish the Dodgers could get their hands on that guy. Even though it's not expecting, but hey, we never know what happened. But Shohei Ohtani with the bat flip last night, hitting his 35th home run. It was a sight to see. It's not even that it was Los Angeles, because I'm not a Los Angeles Angels fan in no way, form, or fashion. I represent the Big Blue all day. But to see Ohtani with that 35th home run smash, and then the bat flip, and then it was against the Yankees, I loved it. But in any case, the Angels are still behind the Yankees when it comes to overall records, of course. As the Yankees are 50-45, the Angels 47-48, just barely, just one game behind 500. But that moment was magical. And then last but not least, the Los Angeles Dodgers 6-4 win over the Baltimore Orioles, keeping their head above the water. So as the games continue to go on, trying everyone's vying to see who's able to get Shohei Ohtani. But I think ultimately he ends up staying in California. Last night, Summer League Championship game, as the Houston Rockets and Cleveland Cavaliers faced off. As we know, the top four teams in the Summer League, the top four records play each other in what would have been a small tournament that would create the championship game for the Summer League. in this game, in this case of this year, the top four teams were the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Houston Rockets, the Utah Jazz, and the Brooklyn Nets, all having a 4-0. Well, correction, three of the four having a 4-0 record. The other one having a 3-0 record once it was all said and done. Um, and then, of course, the Rockets defeated the Utah Jazz to go 5-0. And then the Cleveland Cavaliers defeated the Nets to go 5-0 themselves, in which that put them in last night's game that faced off against one another to decide who would be this year's 2024, 23-24 Summer League champions. And I guess you could say it was somewhat of a blowout. It wasn't. It didn't go as planned. I'm sure for anyone. Basically the Cleveland Cavaliers were victorious with a 99-78 victory, as the Cleveland Cavaliers walk away. Isaiah Mobley, brother to teammate Evan Mobley, was coined the champion. Was coined the MVP after turning in a 28-point, 11 rebound, 3 assists, 2 steal, 2 block performance. I gotta say, Isaiah Mobley is definitely a player, another USC Trojan, just like his brother even was. What's good, Lacey? Glad to have your information with us this morning, brother. What's going on, man? How you doing? Um, but additionally, he had helped Sam Merrill contribute with 27 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Actually lighting up. I think he shot 50% from beyond the arc. So star power. Imani Bates, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. As that trio was basically pushed the line to put him in position. Um, on the opposite side of the spectrum, the Houston Rockets were kind of lacking their star power. Of course, Jabari Smith, Miles Powell, Amen Thompson, and Tari Eason all were inactive and did not play. As we know, they were some of the engine under the wing beneath the wind beneath the wings of the Houston Rockets, as they were pretty effective during the summer league. But they were led. Houston Rockets led by Nate Hinton's 18 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals on the night. 13 points, 1 rebound, 7 assists from Trevor Hodgins. 10 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals from Fletcher McGee. And that kind of like closed it out. 14 points from Cam Whitmore. We've seen that him, as well as Amani Bates and a couple of other players, were very, very, very effective throughout the course of the summer league, which for the most part, some of them were already drafted and was on rosters. You have a couple of players that's probably going to get a more in-depth look and maybe even make a roster, if not the team which they play with the summer league, possibly teams any other team, or being sent down to the those organizations, G League teams, with the expectancy of them making their way back later on in the season. So hats off to Cleveland winning their first game since 2003, I think it was 2013, something like that. To before the summer league became an actual tournament. Everyone wants that at Leslie, but of course, saying it happens, and all you have to do is show and prove. I'm very sure everyone they feel why Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick, or correct, not 6th-round pick, was so late in his, or why Brock Purdy was a Mr. Irrelevant in his. So it happens. The difference is at least it's only 2 rounds for the most part, 60 people. So you instated as Cam Whitmore was one of 60 players to be drafted in less than 60, because there was a couple teams without draft picks. He was one of 60 players to be drafted. So that's still nothing to sit up and to frown upon. I mean, of course, he was expected to go earlier in the season, earlier in the draft, which of course makes a difference on his money. But it happens. They're there. They're NBA players, and they can look forward to going from there. They all have an opportunity to make rosters, or maybe not. 2-way players, maybe. It all remains to be seen. But shout out to those young men putting on the show and showing showing they have what it takes. So additionally, staying within the NBA, as you know, saying at some point we're going to traverse from a centric NBA back into the NFL and stuff like that. But currently with the NBA, there was a conversation. Um, Commissioner Adam Silver, front and center, discussing and talking about a couple of things. And one of the things in which he brought up that I'm very sure a lot of people have been looking forward to talking about or even engaging is the fact that the NBA is going to start taking serious conversations in reference to team expansions. Of course, it is somewhat on a back burner due to the fact that the NBA is more so concerned about the TV rights deals, of course, being that this year, that next April is when the TV rights deals end with the NBA. So they want to get those negotiations taken care of and back in place. So that way, any potential team governor, as they're called in the NBA, the team governor will be able to know exactly what they're getting into, what the movie, what the show rights deals look like, and how they can pull down money across the spectrum. So just as you're saying, my man Leslie puts in the comments, um, basically some of the teams in which are getting a hard look at are where they would like to see markets is Las Vegas, of course, which I greatly agree. When you look at it, Las Vegas has a WNBA team in the Las Vegas Aces, a team, an NFL team in the Las Vegas Raiders, a champion caliber hockey team in the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the potential of bringing in, if not the Oakland, soon to be Las Vegas Athletics, a MLB team in general, if the MLB ever decides to open up on expansion, and now the possibility of contributing that the quintuplets of a NBA champion, I mean NBA team all together, not just a franchise that's going to be moved, but a expansion of a franchise. That is huge. Of course, the market is there for it. It almost makes me want to pull up in Las Vegas. It's pretty close, very close. But in any case, that is starting to be huge, where you have those markets just 4 hours, 5 hours apart from one another. When you have Las Vegas and Los Angeles, huge markets. Even though will Las Vegas be considered a small market with big potential, a small fish in a big pond, or is it going to be considered a huge money market? Um, and then, of course, on the other side of the spectrum, the Seattle market, as it would be looking for the Seattle, once home of the Seattle Supersonics before that team was moved to the Oklahoma City. But bringing back another organization into Seattle that's been rare for it, playing at the Key West. Been there a couple of times to check out the Seattle Storm. So that could be a possibility again. So plenty of possibilities. I'm sure it wouldn't just start with two teams, but those are two markets. I wonder, are there any other potential markets that could potentially pull down and be successful within that market? Do you run it back in any particular city? I thought about it this morning, being that San Antonio had the option, the ability to hold two NBA franchises. Probably not. Maybe the opening for another football one, but not to hold. Let's just say just stole. Oh, the OKC stole the team. Don said LeBron already told Adam Silver he wants the ownership expansion team in Vegas. So I mean that Donovan, that may come true for him potentially, but it won't happen at least for another, at minimum, I think 3 years for the conversation. Once as I said, first thing to be established is the rights. Once those rights are established, then we're probably going to start to see the conversation start to happen, if not already happening, to where people are starting to get together. When you look at it, you have a plethora of organizations or teams that have tried to, groups that have tried to put together. So if the NBA says, "Hey, we're accepting bids," then I'm very sure you might start seeing some of these teams start these groups getting back together to own a franchise here and there. So I think that's going to be key. It's going to be actually going to be a pretty good. I could see or almost guarantee that we probably will see a Vegas team without a doubt. Seattle has been clamoring to get one back again, so you might end up falling right back into that moniker where there's another Seattle team. Unfortunately, they will have to don the green and gold, or the green and yellow of the that is there. But that's historic, and you know what I'm saying, not too many people will go against that. Of course, in this day and age, with how the uniforms go and how you put the colors together and stuff like that, um, might not be a bad thing, but that is where it's currently at. Um, and I don't think OKC stole the team, Leslie. I think it was a situation to where Seattle wasn't giving what they wanted, and they decided that Oklahoma was and was going to give up. So they made the move at the point in which is my squad. I should be able to do what I want with it, unless, of course, I have went into an agreement with said city. And but I know the owner had to pay a pretty penny to Seattle because for the move he made, but I guess it was worth it for him in state. But now that you look about it, hindsight 2020, would staying in Seattle have been a better market as opposed to moving to Oklahoma City? Because it's not like, although they had tried it, but at Seattle was a championship caliber team at one point. OKC has been the championship caliber team at one point, but which market, especially in this day and age, would be more conducive to the NBA? In which evidently Seattle has some value because they're looking at putting them back in position. So the plot thickens and it continues. The beat continues to so we will be seeing sooner than later, most likely, what that's going to look like as far as Seattle, Seattle, Las Vegas, or any of those other teams. So real quick, with a little transition, I want to get into which we are running back with. Actually, I want to run. Let's talk a little NFL, right? While I have y'all have me. Um, let's talk a little NFL. So first and foremost, well, actually, let me see something. Let me see if I can pull up something else before I go there. Where are my gamers at? Where's all those people that could jump on the sticks, get it in, competition, and all that type of stuff? Because we know, as you know, Madden and NBA 2K are, if you haven't already, go out and get your NBA 2K editions. Um, as we know, NBA 2K24 is already being opened up for um, to pre-order. Get your game on. I know I need to go ahead and order my, I mean, pre or reserve pre-order my copy. So when the game starts, I can get into it. I don't get left behind like I did last year a little bit, and then I kind of like fell off. Honestly, we was just talking about myself and Bishop was just talking about it the other day, to where he's like, I don't be on the sticks no more. And of course, there's reason for it. But in any case, I digress. I got left behind, but I think I'm ready, up and ready for it this year to be more of a potent a factor than I was last year. So what I ramble and continue on to speak about this, right? Because in the gaming culture, this is culture. So we talk sports, let's say military aspect, life aspect, and culture, whether between military and everything else. So in this day and culture, gaming is a huge thing. Even from a military aspect, when you think about it, Call of Duty gets burned top top game Call of Duty and 2K, clearly and ideally, of course, other games that have moved from constricted computer onto consoles like Grand Theft Autos and as I mean GTA and games like it slips my head. It slips my mind. Pardon me. I can't believe I can't think of this game right now. But in any case, at some point now I think about it, even Roblox, a computer-based game, is going to at some point I think is going to become a console-driven game as well. And it's going Fortnite. That's the other game, Fortnite. Those type of games making their way to where I think at some point they're going to be on the console as well, and they will continue to just grow astronomically from where they are now. But the culture of NBA games is interesting, right? So I know I just seen the story the other day how Jamal Murray was pretty teed off due to the fact that he did not get a high rating. Of course, interestingly enough, Murray was in the top 100, but in the bottom portion of that. If you look at 1 through 100, Murray was I think, a 84, putting him in the lower tier of that top 100. How is it that you helped your squad into an NBA championship? You get an 84 rating. Come to think of it, doesn't even matter when it comes down to that. So that's where I'm going with this. We just seen this morning, Aaron Donald has received his seventh record-breaking Madden 99 club rating. 7 consecutive editions in which he's been he's scored been rated at a 99 player, breaking that of Tom Brady with 6 or Peyton Manning or something with 6. So, what does that rating really mean? Instead, is it more important to the actual player or the gamers in which play the game that utilize these individuals? If you were a top tier player or just a player in general with your image, name, image, and likeness in these games, are you upset about what your rating is? Whether even if you produce on the field, do you really care if your rating is 86, a 99? No one has reached a rating of 100 yet, although there has been players with rate speeds of 100 in the NFL. But does it really matter? Are you caring that my rating was trash or my rating wasn't top tier? Doesn't make a difference to you. Currently, already, there's only a handful of players, even with a 90 rating at this point. 20 of the 20 out of 100 players with of 20 of the top 20 players 90 ratings, starting with number 20 Jaylen Brown. He's a 90. James Harden's a 90. Kyrie Irving's a 91. Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, Zion Williamson, Kawhi Leonard, and Ja Morant are 92s. Jimmy Butler's a lone 93, 294s, and Anthony Davis and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, a couple of 95s with Jason Taylor and Damian Lillard, a couple of 96 with Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. LeBron finishes off with in the top 5 with him, Joel Embiid, Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Nikola Jokic, all 97s for what is considered the top rate in the upcoming the up and coming game. So does that make a difference? Does it really make a difference when you look at that? That was just something I want to get off my chest and talk about and discuss a little bit, to find out what is the the temperature on the gaming culture and these players and how they get monetized. I mean, not monetized. How they're um, emphasized and seen on these games, and does it really make a difference to them when it comes out to it? Um, Shout out to Evan Ingram, as he was once a franchise tag player before he was able to negotiate and pull down and remove that franchise tag. Um, Now currently sitting at 3 years, I believe 45 million, in which 24 million of that 45 is guaranteed. If you know or heard of Fallen Evan Ingram, he started out in New York, in which he was traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars last year in Jacksonville. He was very, very effective. 73 receptions for 766 yards and 4 touchdowns to go along with that. So put himself or played himself into a position to where he got a little money. Now 74 45 million across 45 million 3 years, 45 million, 24 million of that guaranteed. And putting himself as that guarantees what 8 million, it guarantees at least 8 million a year. But we know average of 8 million a year, to where he was initially franchise tag at 11.3 million for 1 year, when he's making that 8 million. And then of course, like you said, with the other portion of that, if he continues to be effective, he would just continue to grow, being one of the top we see tight ends in the league, receiving tight end that is. So with that brings us to something else. Like yesterday, we was discussing briefly about the rise and how a couple of players are going to be seen in different lights. Like one of the names I brought up yesterday, Justin Fields. Definitely think that Justin Fields is going to be very engaging. He's going to be one of those players to get a to take a um, he's going to be one of those players that's going to make a difference and is going to be seen and probably turn the corner. Honestly, I really think that Justin Jefferson is going to be a player that turns the corner and is going to be able to flip the script and be able to push the lines, and now is going to be seen in a whole different light. Additionally, now I think about it, looking at this um, with Ingram, not him particularly, but I think as an organization or a team, Jacksonville is probably one of those teams to be watching this year. We talked about Jacksonville yesterday. I mean, we brought up Detroit. I think is a team that's going to basically take a look in that, like we talked about Justin Jefferson yesterday. Chicago might do better. I'm not saying they're going to be, especially their division is going to be kind of wide open, in my opinion. I believe a lot would figure that Minnesota, i.e., Eric, um, Zach, saying, and a couple of people, my man, Reed, would figure that saying those skull addicts, skull madness, would figure that Minnesota is going to be a team now to run away with their division due to the fact Aaron Rodgers is up in the Northeast now. But I really feel like Detroit has something differently to say about that, and Dan Campbell and company are more susceptible to be the top team. I honestly think that that is going to be who everyone's going to be chasing in that division, not Minnesota, but them. But now when I think Chicago, like I said, Chicago's going to have a little. It's not going to just be a run down division. I think it's going to be up for grabs. But I think Detroit, Chicago, Minnesota, then Green Bay would be the pecking order. But going back to Jacksonville, Jacksonville showed some moxie last year, put themselves in position. So with that being said, I think Jacksonville might be able to turn the corner and maybe really honestly compete. They got in on a whim last year, but when they got in, they made some noise with a huge comeback during the playoff series, just to go and fall the next game. I think they're going to be a competitor more so. I actually think the AFC East, the AFC is going to be that conference is that going to have a lot of competition going on to where there's not going to be anyone that's just going to run away with the division. Of course, the conference. Well, Cincinnati and Kansas City might have some differently think about that, but for the rest of the conference, I think it's going to be a lot of grit and grind, nail biting games, and all that type of stuff. So definitely taking a look at that. I would think that that would be the case for Jacksonville. To be Miami probably in there. Additionally, um, Baltimore with the reemergence, even Cleveland potentially. Deshaun Jackson gets a full year under center in the preseason and postseason. In the preseason and the camps and stuff like that for him to develop some type of chemistry with everyone. So we might see. Yesterday? I know we had a conversation where we was talking about is Justin Herbert better than Deshaun Watson? And to my searching, I believe currently, yes, when you look at the numbers between Justin Herbert and Deshaun Watson as of last year, just Deshaun Watson wasn't that great. But now we have possibly a different situation going on because now he's back in the fold again. And he gets a full time. So we might see Deshaun Watson of old. He has some weapons in Cleveland. Everyone's looking like they have weapons. They're starting to have developed into a pretty good team. So definitely looking forward to seeing that. On the opposite side of the spectrum, the emergence of tight ends as we've seen. But in that, we're seeing a lackluster development to where running backs are not premiums anymore. The running back is no longer, I guess the game changes, of course. Like I was talking about, franchise tag players, Saquon Barkley, even Ingram, Josh Jacobs, Lamar Jackson, Deron Payne, and Tony Pollard. Out of those 6 players, 3 of them were running backs, in which out of those 6 players, only 3 have pulled down long-term deals. Of course, the latter, which we just talked about, Evan Ingram, 3 years, $41 million. Prior to that, Darren Payne, 4 years, $90 million. Of course, Lamar Jackson, 5 years, $260 million. Resetting the quarterback market, as we thought. But the running backs, none of the running backs were able to pull down a deal to which all of them, the clock struck 1600 Central Standard Time yesterday. None of them had deals, and none of them are expected to be. Correction. Tony Pollard, however, he didn't get a long-term deal, but he is going to play on his tender franchise tag and earn $10 million for 1 year. What they expect to see most likely that he's going to probably get a long-term deal sometime during the course of the season to continue on. But Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, neither of them pulled down or signed their tender tag. They don't expect to play on their tag, and they're going to, at this point, and probably going to sit out the season. That puts them basically with the only other last person to sit out, running back to sit out the whole season, was Le'Veon Bell, and that didn't work too well for Le'Veon. And when he ended up coming back, he was a lot less explosive. And he wasn't just the same person in which he was the dominant running back prior to that. Hence the reason why he was trying to pull down that money. Additionally, in the case Saquon Barkley, in his case, during the season, he was actually offered a pretty good. I ain't gonna say a pretty good deal. He didn't like it in state because it was stated that he didn't like what that basically came down when you look at I think the years and the money guaranteed, but he was looking where he could have made $14 million a year, but he didn't accept that deal. They tabled the contract talks until the off season. Of course, the beginning of the off season, it was a determination that even he or Daniel Jones will be franchise tagged. Daniel Jones, before the beginning of the free agency, signed the deal, and they decided to franchise tag Saquon Barkley. eye opener Barkley, because now you're looking at they value Daniel Jones more than they value myself. But at this point, Saquon is not resting on his laurels. He's sitting back, he's drawing his line in the sand, and he's basically looking at now they need to go ahead and make it happen. They need to pay him what it is that he wants to be paid, as well as the structure of that contract and the guaranteed money in which he's looking for. Without that, due to the fact that he didn't sign the tag and he's not under contract, Saquon Barkley doesn't have to, nor Josh Jacobs for that fact of the matter, neither has to worry about getting penalized or receiving fines for not being in camp, because technically they're not under any contracts. They are able to be because of the franchise tag, they can't go and sign with any other team, but they're not under contract. So basically, they sit out the year with said team, and at the end of it, can go to be free agents next year, I guess, or at least, or can they be? Yeah, because they can find their tag. So interesting. This is going down. It's happening to running backs. We know there was someone else that was on this list, I believe, that should have been on this list initially, was that in Austin Eckler, but Austin Eckler is under contract, and I think in his particular juncture, he was trying to get paid more. It didn't happen. He was given permission to go seek a trade elsewhere. It still didn't happen, and they put him in position to where he ended up going back to Los Angeles, to the Chargers, to play out, I guess, his contract, in which we'll see how it happens, if he's going to be able to play into a contract to get him more, or if it's going to be where he's going to probably be in the same situation as Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley. Of course, history tells you something, gives you an ideal, and in this case, Austin Eckler might want to pay attention to see what's going on, because the running backs are now starting to be a very prehistoric position, seemingly, and everyone doesn't get the same love, of course. You have, what comes to mind is Najee Harris in Pittsburgh, to where he gets, he's like the do-all bell cow type running back there in Pittsburgh. And wonder, does that continue on? Does that help him to become premium, or him stay premium? Of course, you have other running backs that I think go in that that go into that same type of category. When you take a look at Christian McCaffrey in San Francisco, one of those running backs that is premium, and really make things happen, to where the money that they pull down is very much guaranteed. Not saying that no one's is guaranteed, but it's definitely one of those type of situations. So I hope Josh and Saquon are able to make something shake before the season happens, because if not, it's going to be a problem, because if someone else comes into the fray and and makes them a afterthought, then there it goes. Now it has to go elsewhere. Additional, we talked about yesterday, the running backs Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, and and Hunt are still available. Official running backs during the time frame release. So now you have potentially 6 top tier running backs that are out there, 2 belonging to organizations, the other 4 not signed yet. It's not looking good. And then you have others that at some point will become. You have a couple of the brethren, I guess, coming and speaking and engaging, to where just of recently, of over a year ago, over 2 years ago, honestly, Nick Chubb signed a $10 million or more a season contract in 2021. You have running back Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, and Austin Eckler all engaging in reference to this conversation, in which Austin Eckler tweeted, "Everyone knows it's tough to win without a top running back, and yet they act like we're discardable wet widgets." He supports running any of his running backs doing whatever it takes to get their bag. Austin Eckler. Najee Harris also chimed in. "I agree with my running back brothers around the NFL. History would show that you need running backs to win. We set the tone every game and run through walls for our team and lead in many ways. This notion that we deserve less is a joke." And then the last but not least, also tweeting, "Derrick Henry, at this point, just take the running back position out the game. Then the ones that want to be great and work as hard as they can, give it their all to an organization, just seems like it don't even matter. I'm with every running back that fights to get what it does to get what it deserves." So of course that coming in from three running backs, top running backs, in which I just said Austin Eckler at this point when he was a victim of this, when he tried to get his more money, and where he's going to be in the same boat next year. What is the market? How important is the running back at this point? How important is the running back? I guess we'll just leave that question there, because that is what is basically coming out to, like, how important is the running back and the market? Will the market come back around? We always know the quarterback is going to be the high. It's going to be the premium. Offensive lineman, defensive lineman, receivers seem to be getting this money currently. So how important is a running back? Is 10 million too much? 10 million a year too much for running backs? Is 54 million, 3 years, 54 million not enough for running backs? And that's my standpoint on it and what I wonder for the time being. What else is we're at? Save that for tomorrow. Okay. So, of course, as I said it before, greatly appreciate some of y'all tapping in today. I won't be ranting on and on and on today. We'll say that for another day. Greatly appreciate y'all tapping in. Like I said, as I slowly but surely get back into this with the more content, some other things which I have in the works, and I think is going to make us more engaging. Appreciate those that tapped in this morning: Kanief, Leslie, Donovan, and those that was watching that didn't comment. Continue to come back. We're going to be back in this thing, of course. I'll leave y'all with that last more to come up when we start talking about the top positions in NFL. The FIBA games is coming up. Who wins that? The Canada team is looking strong. The U.S. is look like they can probably do some things. And we're getting to dive into that a little bit and a couple other things. But I'm going to leave y'all for today. A quick 40-minute show as I get back into this and get reset up and all. Greatly appreciate your checking, following with your boy this morning, and look forward to seeing you information tomorrow. Until then, trade commits, TDC. I'm out of here. Peace. Enjoy your day.